Hello, this is Paloma. I come back with the story the sky is telling for the next few days. Beautiful family, thank you for listening and sharing this space with me. We are at the end of October. We're actually ending this month, this week, in this beautiful moment of ceremony when the wheel of life turns and we are invited to transcend our limited perception of death so we can rise beyond illusion and remember that nothing dies. Everything changes and gets transformed. There is a weather in the earth and skies that invite reverence into our lives, I would say, to lean into the mystery, with humility. It's a humbling sky. In the recognizing and feeling gratitude for whatever inheritance we received from ancestors, we can also feel and give ourselves the permission to cut from the roots whatever pattern or attachment that in the here and now are limiting the full expression of our creative power. For this to happen, there is an inquiring and a deep facing some truth, some hidden aspect, some shadow aspect of ourselves. So it can be transformed and we can redirect this, which is a lot of intense energy, through our focus towards the manifestation of something tangible, some dream, some longing from our soul. So before we do the planting of the seed, we actually prepare, we cleanse, we purge. There is a last purge, I would say, at this moment that actually creates the empty and fertile space for the beautiful potential of manifestation that we have. We have a new moon in Scorpio on the 1st of November in the 9th degree of this school of power and mystery. It is a seed of transformation of power, a seed of truth as well. So I was teaching a class today about this new moon, and I called it the Transfiguration, because transfiguration implies a transformation, a change of something in a way that it actually ends up revealing its true nature. And I think we are becoming more of ourselves, more of who we truly are. So instead of acquiring something or adding, it's more about shedding and letting go, allowing this essential nature and this intrinsic wisdom to emerge. And this is a moon happening in an axis that addresses possession. So maybe there is this invitation as well to free ourselves from whatever chain of possession we are stuck with, so we can enter the richness, the prosperity of that which is unchangeable and eternal inside of us. So the main dialogue in this new moon is the sun and the moon in a trine to Saturn retrograde in Pisces. This is a fluid aspect. Saturn will actually start its forward motion later in the month of November. So there is a potency to his energy already. I think he is bringing spiritual and emotional strength to this seed. And it's precisely that. Personal power will come from this strength and from the coherence that we actually manage to embody. No, it's not about physical strength or control or submission or manipulation. These are the offerings that we will place at the altar so they can be redeemed through our prayer in this time of ceremony. Saturn in Pisces will always ask for responsibility and commitment in the use and exercise of our power, a commitment with this transformation, with this experience and expression of our waters, of our emotional realms. This is a very fluid and watery sky, and Saturn is inviting us to trust our intuition, to go inside so we can find the answer to this crossroads, because it feels like a crossroads is here. It might seem like it's outside, but it's truly a lesson of cultivating inner authority, sovereignty, and maturity. It is a sky that is also showing us the great amplification of our spiritual gifts and the opportunity to respond with maturity for our powers. Because whatever it is, whatever we actually plant with the strength of Saturn like this, will be manifested, will get consolidated, and will actually last through time. So there is a great potential for manifestation, and therefore the test, I would say, it's also great. We could say that if we approach this energy from the subconscious pattern or from the desires of our ego, we might find ourselves extremely attached to some belief, to some idea of how we think things should go, or the path that we should take, and also like very reactive in defending whatever has given us security up until now, closing ourselves to the possibility of what is beating behind what we already know, or beyond what we already know. That's what I meant, no? Or the other option I see is we could actually walk towards this darkness through our fear, through our attachment, and discover this immense source of resources and power inside of ourselves that we had no idea was there. But we have to trust in this, attuning ourselves with this inner wisdom, and move with intentionality, with generous compassion in a moment where we are being triggered, provoked by feeling the nearness of death. So if you feel like you're what's the word I want to say? If you feel like you're at the edge, no, it's not really because you're about to fall. Probably it's because you're about to fly. So it's a great time really to be alive. We can plant a seed in that space in our astrological maps, in the house where we have the 9th degree of Scorpio, of course, but I think there is a wider perspective and sense to what is going on, because this is a retrieval of our power as authentic spiritual warriors that surrender their ego and bow with humility and reverence to the immensity of the mystery, and therefore they find their light and guidance in their own hearts. This is a prayer that is held by the hand of spirit and will be manifested in earth as a new expression of prosperity. So that's the inquiry and the reflection about prosperity, about power, about values, about a very important update in our belief systems. At the moment of this new moon, we already have, it's been active already for me since the last full moon in Aries. We have this opposition of Mars and Pluto. This will last with intensity until mid-November, and there's a longer story with this because they're actually going to have this opposition 3 times. So there's going to be a development of the story. Whenever a pattern repeats itself like that within a retrograde motion, like we're going to have with Mars, there is chapters to this, right? So this is the first chapter, but it's going to evolve. For now, we have them both at the last degree of Cancer and Capricorn. In terms of archetypical understanding, this is the father-mother figure and energy, memory, tradition, origin. And they're at the end of here. They are liberating the toxicity of our roots so it can be transmuted and raised into a new frequency. We are cutting like an umbilical cord in a way that was binding us to a pattern. So we can now maybe enter this rite of passage where we take a father and mother in the earth and the sky, and we transcend perhaps the drama of our personal story so we can actually embody the maturation of our soul, so we can retrieve the power as an energy that actually allows us to create. So there is different ways of reading this Mars-Pluto opposition. There is a mundane or like a collective way in which it might express, and there's the personal level. And right now I want to talk about the personal level because this is very confrontational energy, and when we bring it into the personal level, there's what I see actually, it's just an enormous amount of energy that we can direct and focus, and we can turn it into the catalyzing force for an irreversible and deep change in our lives. Because we can own the energy. Whatever we offer in this reverence here to say goodbye to a pattern that kept us in a reactivity from our shadow can be healed. And can be integrated, I dare say, forever, because Pluto will not come back to this spot ever in our lives. So in truth, there is a massive culmination of structures that allow for this seed to also be a seed of freedom. And yet that freedom, we will talk about freedom throughout November and December. Venus is in Sagittarius, no? She wants freedom. but she is also in a square to Saturn. And we come from Libra, which is relationship, right? And we enter Scorpio, which is also relationship. It's actually a deeper layer of the way in which we share intimacy, resources, and how we share power. So there is this, I want to be free and learn to love with freedom. And Saturn here is actually saying yes, no, a mature freedom, one that knows how to manage boundaries and is accountable for its creations. And it's that, just becoming aware that life is our creation. So Venus is speaking with Chiron and with Jupiter. Jupiter is speaking with Chiron. There's a configuration there that speaks of healing the story, Géminis, inviting the courage to choose this, I would call it mature freedom. There is a beautiful healing energy in this configuration, in these conversations, that can also be a part of this seed of transformation. Also, in the map of this new moon, we see two cosmic kites. There's been a lot of talk of kites because we've had this geometry repeating itself constantly in the sky. And we have two in this map, which is amazing. So the first one, in the bottom has Mars, and in the top part of the kite we see Pluto. And this is interesting because Pluto is a higher octave of Mars, right? So I see it as we are being invited to rise into a new frequency of power and authority. And I would ask you, what does this mean to you? And then in the second kite, we see Mercury in the tail, and we see Urano in the top part of the kite. And again, Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury. So from this very personal, also very subjective scheme of things, we're invited to rise into a much more transcendental point of view through these kites. It's an awakening of our consciousness, of our awareness into new values, a new way of communing with life itself through opening our thoughts into a deeper understanding and experience of truth. Honesty is essential in this seed. So through these both of these kites, I think we're invited to rise into this flight. And what weaves them together, it is a grand trine of water, which is like this very fluid, open way in which water is flowing in this map through Mars, Mercury, and Neptune. It's divinity, it's the spirit itself through Neptune that is inviting this generous flow of grace, empathy, and compassion in a moment that we are being faced with our fears, that new parts of ourselves are being shown to us so we can embrace and maybe learn to love more of who we are. And there's the action and the thought processes flowing from intuition, from this inner listening, from this communion with God and Goddess, and with faith. Because this is being weaved in the dream world, no? And we're going to have 6 months to keep our commitment with this moment. And through those 6 months, we're going to have this opposition of Mars and Pluto testing us as a challenge, as a temptation, I would even say, to express the more dense layer of these two planets, which is the war and death. And from there, from this old narrative, this is a very violent and convulsed weather. But if we rise into this flight that we are being invited to take with these both kites, the perspective widens, no? And we can actually understand Mars and Pluto like the will to act and the regeneration of life looking at each other. The possibility of creating a new culture precisely through Cancer and Capricorn, which are the rulers of how we construct culture and new paradigms of power. Maybe moving into a more circular experience of power, also understanding family and home beyond our blood, into the planet, into the cosmos and all of creation, into being attuned with a natural law, a divine law, and therefore walk back into harmony in all and with all our relationships. This is a retrieval of personal power in service to the collective. It's a deep, profound, and beautiful and masterful moment, family. So I will keep talking about the Mars-Pluto opposition in next videos, but I hope at least this gives you an idea that we can shift the perspective. We are not bound even by astrology. Now we can shift the perspective onto how we want to express this energy. We have the choice. We have a choice. This is just raw energetic matter with which we create. It is a gift that it is given to us, and we can correspond this gift by exercising a clean power in service to beauty and to love. So I wish you a seed of certainty in your power and your wisdom, in communion and attunement with Father, Mother, God. From this humility, may we choose life and transform whatever is necessary, allowing the true nature of our being to emerge from the light of our hearts. May we shine brighter now that sometimes we feel that darkness is shadowing the human collective. Let us remember that it is in darkness where life gets regenerated, and also the beginning of every seed is in the darkness of the embrace of Mother Earth. So I invite you these days to enter the reverence and ceremony where we thank our ancestors for what we have been given, and we can also thank ourselves for the tremendous courage with which we have walked our paths in order to be here and now. May you also find softness as you surrender the struggles and the fights of our ego, of your ego and my ego, and we can open ourselves to the power of our soul that truly wants to bring forward, to give birth to a new reality. This is a high magic, high manifestation moment in the energetics. So may your creation be blessed. Thank you.